I want to talk about the scoring race
All
with
right.
MacKinnon and Kucherov. I want to
Yeah.
talk the Hart conversation.
Okay. Let's talk Hart.
Okay, so this irks me. It's such a biased opinion because I'm such a homer on this one, but everybody seems to be leaning towards MacKinnon for the Hart, and I agree. That dude should have won the Hart the year Taylor Hall got it. He came in second. It pissed me off because I was okay with it at the time because they gave it to Taylor Hall. I don't. He was more consistent on the road and home, where MacKinnon was kind of collecting his points just on the road and not home. And then the narrative around it was like, well, he had Mikko Rantanen,
Hmm.
right? And Taylor Hall had nobody. Okay, fine, fair enough. So the next year he goes out and he's again nominated or top five or something like that. And was it Connor McDavid won it or Draisaitl won it? And it's like, well, how come that narrative wasn't the same as it was last year? Because McDavid and Draisaitl got each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's a little bit frustrating because it seems to be like the moving bar of what's going on. And so finally this year, it seems like MacKinnon's kind of carved away from his path. And a lot of the kind of narrative that I see is like, well, Kucherov should win it
Mm.
because he and MacKinnon are duking it out. And I'll say a couple of things about the Hart Trophy that I believe should be true. In my opinion, you should not be able to win the Hart Trophy if your team does not qualify for the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Tampa Bay Lightning at this point are in the playoffs, but they're barely in, and they've been out a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Kucherov is looking great, and he's a game breaker. He's a future Hall of Famer. But the fucking whining out of Tampa, especially Stamkos going off about like, oh, we're a small market team and blah blah blah. He's not getting all the publicity. It's like, dude, Colorado's a small market team.
I
They really are.
I don't see any clips unless I go looking for them of
Yeah.
Colorado.
Well, exactly. And they are
Like Edmonton clips, Toronto clips, Montreal clips. I see them all the time.
yeah, I mean, right? Canada is a huge market team for hockey, so
Mm-hmm.
they're always going to get like the extra stuff. And the
Yeah.
original six is always way up there,
Yeah.
right? But they are a smaller market.
Mm-hmm.
They have a smaller fan base, and they because of their cup run and they've become one of the most dynamic teams, and they got like three just incredible players that play for them. They've managed to make a bit of a name for themselves. But like the same thing can be said about the Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest problem with it is Kucherov won the fucking Hart Trophy in 2019. So what the argument is that like they don't get enough media attention, and that's why MacKinnon is the
Yeah.
favorite for it,
It's like
has no fucking
no,
legs.
that's
Like
not part of the criteria.
that
Like,
dude won the Art Ross, and he won the Ted Lindsay, and he won the Hart Trophy in 2019. How can you say that you're being ignored because you live in a small market?
yeah.
Those guys went fucking back-to-back cups and then made it to the final in the third year, losing to Colorado. But you can't tell me that that's the excuse as to why MacKinnon, who also plays in a smaller market team, is the favorite to win. It just kind of fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
And Colorado's been good enough that they've been able to outscore all their problems.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look, the one thing I think the Kucherov has going for him is like the next closest player on his team for points is pretty far behind. The same is kind of said about MacKinnon and Rantanen, but Rantanen is also the top in the top 10 in scoring, I think. So that kind of hurts MacKinnon's case a little bit if they're doing that thing. But the Canadian media has shown that that
Mm.
doesn't fucking matter if you play for the Edmonton Oilers. So hopefully it
Yeah.
doesn't matter this year because I think MacKinnon's earned it. That dude's been dominant. He's put up the most 5v5 points in this calendar year. And he's put up the most points in this calendar year, not the seasons, but the calendar year. The stats came out last year. He better than McDavid for
Mm-hmm.
points. And that dude's an absolute fucking truck on the ice. He's doing things that Kucherov and McDavid aren't gonna do uh, because he's just an animal.
Yeah. I do wonder if the narrative after the winner's announced, if Kucherov doesn't win, Is it going to be like, oh, he didn't have anyone to set him up again, or are they going to blame the media attention?
I think they're going to blame it. They're going to be like, oh, we have the best player in the world and blah, blah, blah. Put that up and we're in the East and we're a smaller market and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It just sounds stupid to me.
It's a stupid argument when media attention is not the criteria to win. You want to be the
Yeah.
most charismatic hockey player and get an award for that? Maybe petition for that, but like that's not what it's about.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's blaming or pegging Kucherov as the most charismatic to me. But like, I don't know. I watched that playoff series and when Colorado won them in Game 6, and they had like 30 seconds, 40 seconds still left on the clock, and Kucherov was at the side of the bench screaming and snapping his stick while there was still time to be played in a 2-1 game. So, uh, you know, does he deserve to win it again? I don't think this year. I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think it's MacKinnon's. It's MacKinnon's year. I think he's owed one, and I think he's also played to the level of a Hart Trophy winner.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a problem with the NHL. Their trophies are fucking stupid. The
Well,
Hart Trophy uh, is supposed to be MVP, but like again, it's narrative, right? It's really narrative based, and you can
mm-hmm.
say all you want, and I can sound like a crusty biased fan, but like the reality is MacKinnon didn't win it one year because he had Rantanen, and then the next year that fucking caveat didn't matter. And then you got trophies like the Vezina Trophy that seem to sometimes are right and sometimes are not. And then you got the Jack Adams Award, which is basically the hey, the most improved team, right? You look at the Jack Adams. Why has Bednar never won a Jack Adams? Really? Right? The closest he ever got to winning one was when he took fucking dog shit awful Colorado, worst non-expansion season in the entire league history, and then made the playoffs next year. Like he got nominated. I think he won second place, but like
Mm-hmm.
he's not even in the top 5 this year. Are you kidding me? Look how injured that team is. Look at the goaltending. Colorado doesn't have a single goalie with a 900 save percentage, and they just keep winning. And so I that like the Hart and the Jack Adams and like a couple of the other trophies like that really bother me because they're
Mm-hmm.
not hard. They're not hard statistical things,
No.
or there's gray area and a lot of media influence, and it's stupid. But I'll tell you what, if MacKinnon wins and Kucherov has more points and people want to complain about it, that's why the fucking Art Ross trophy exists.
Yeah.
Right? That's for most points. Shut
Mm-hmm.
up and take this trophy. Right? If you're talking MVP, it's gotta be MacKinnon right now.
Yeah.
Dude's nuts. Every night. It's never happened. This is the weirdest fact ever.
Didn't he?
In Colorado history, with all the star caliber players they had, like Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and they had Timo Salami, he was awful that year, but like they've had like big names, Yari Curie, Jerome McGinley. They've never had a player score 4 goals in a game in their entire franchise history.
Didn't they
And
also
Nathan
Didn't he also break a hat trick record?
No, this is what he did. Nathan MacKinnon did it fucking twice in 16 games between each other. He scored 4 goals twice. And it's never been done in Colorado history. Like the dude is fucking nuts. And he could have had another hat trick, but he gave it up to Logan O'Connor.
I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was, I mean, how can you not want that guy to win? Like
Yeah.
that dude is so fucking intense. He doesn't give a shit about personal goals.
Yeah.
He gives it to his teammate, boosts his teammate, and Logan O'Connor goes out the next game and scores 2 goals, and then Nathan MacKinnon scores 4 goals.
Well, and I think that's why you can kind of forgive the heated passion he gets into and he yells at people during practice or whatever. Because I think it's not so much he wants it his way and it has to be his way. It's he wants the whole team to succeed. Because
Yeah,
he could have taken that goal for himself, or he doesn't have to set up other players because obviously we've seen his skill.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is a playmaker.
Yeah.
So he does make amazing passes too.
Yeah.
But like, he doesn't need to pass that to Logan O'Connor. He's fucking Nathan MacKinnon. Like he's driving the bus on the team this year, especially with Landy out.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to do that, but he does. And he's intense and he wants the best out of everybody. because he wants the team to be as best as they possibly can be. And he pushes players, and
Mm-hmm.
you need somebody on that team. You hear stories about like teams that win the Stanley Cup, and there's always somebody that's driving that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's driving it for the whole team right now, and he just holds them to a standard. And that's got to be stressful, I'm sure, for some of those guys in the locker room. You can tell early on in the season they had a lot of trouble. And some guys are no longer with the team, and some guys are probably on their way out either at the trade deadline or in the offseason because they just don't fit the culture.
Yeah.
But that's a culture of winning, man.